My name's Ade Edmondson and I play Terkel, who is a lead character in the film. And Terkel is a kind of hapless 13, 14-year-old. So I wonder why they cast me. But he, well, because I'm childish, obviously. And he gets very badly bullied. And as a lot of people know from their own experiences in playgrounds, one of the ways out of being bullied is to join the bullies. And he does, very briefly. He says one bullying thing in his entire life, and that thing causes someone else to commit suicide. So it's a kind of vicious, dark comedy with a lot of blood and gore in it.
My name is Bill Bailey, and I play the character of Barry. He is the groovy music teacher. He's really enthusiastic kind of guy, you know, really not fazed by anything. And he's sort of a bit like the kind of 70s DJs, really. Top of the hour.
My name's Toby Stevens and I play Justin, who's the supply teacher. He's this kind of rather touchy-feely, new agey, you know, hippie-ish kind of supply teacher who comes in and, you know, ostensibly he seems like a really nice guy, really nice teacher. But there's something strange about him, something slightly wrong, something a bit peculiar going on with him.
My name is Ben, and I'm playing this young chap here, Jason. Jason is a kind of a messed up dude, really. He's very cool, very street, very funky. As you can probably tell by the way he's dressed, he's a bit of a gangster. Yeah, he's very he's best mates with Turtle. Now, Turtle and him are totally different characters, obviously. And Turtle is more of a unique geek, whereas Jason is a bit more flavour, a bit more street.
I'm Johnny Vegas, and I am voicing or playing the character of Uncle Stuart. He's alcoholic, violently abusive, gets the job done, no messing about type guy. The type of uncle that everybody needs. The one who says as it is and doesn't hold anything back. He doesn't come sugar-coated. He's the real world. It's how animation should be.
My name's Olivia Coleman and I play Sheila, who's Terkel's mum. Sheila is a heavy smoker and she only really thinks about herself, and she likes to throw sort of made-up illnesses at her children, like hair, ingrowing nails on the knees and hair on the retina, things.
I think acting in this way, where you only record yourself and you're not working with the other actors, is strangely quite good fun. You don't have any trouble because there's no other egos apart from your own in the room, and you can just concentrate on what you're doing. I mean, the other characters get played to me in Danish, and I kind of intuit, hopefully, what the other actors will eventually do. I quite like it. I mean, I think this is the way most animations are made these days.
Hey, you just sat on an old possum at Justin's. Cool, man.
I think
Yeah,
I'm probably
man.
in my element a little bit, and I think sometimes that acting with other actors is probably, I find, probably more difficult. I'm somebody who finds it easier to create a character and work with that character, and respond to myself sometimes more than, rather than responding with other people, which is, it's awful to say because that's really what acting is about. But I really feel in my element here, where you really are not on your own, and you're pushing yourself and stretching yourself to get away from being who you are, which is fantastic, which is the only thing to really do, and I think it really pushes you as an actor to do that.
It's like doing a gig in a way, because you have to get up to the level of performance, and that can take a while. It takes a while to get into it. You have to maybe do 20 minutes or so, or even an hour really, to get into the rhythm of the speech, the character, and the sound of your voice, and modulate it to fit the character. And then, very often what you do is you then go back over what you've already done, and when you're warmed up, and do it again. So then you're up to speed then. And actually, I've done quite a lot of voiceover work and stuff in in sound studios, and all of that is really helpful in this kind of thing because you get to know the sound of your voice in the headphones, which is sometimes it sounds really odd. It sounds really kind of quite bizarre, or doesn't sound like you, and it's a kind of technical thing of getting it to sound the way you want it to, and then you're comfortable with it, and then you do the whole character again.
Sometimes you have to admit you can't do it alone.
I find voice acting a lot harder than on-set acting, because on-set acting you tend to you're more dressed up, you're in that one character. When I'm doing voice acting, the other 20 or 30 voices in my head are all screaming to get out and tell me to do things to kill and stuff. So to keep that one voice and keep the other ones quiet, I basically have to set up a creche in my head just to keep them occupied. But yeah, no, I think my voice has far more range than my body does. Do you know what I mean? Voice-wise, I can do a military obstacle course, whereas physically I couldn't bend over and you know, touch my toes without having a cardiac. So this allows me to be the actor I always wanted to be, without the water retention.
Anything, from ingrowing nails on the knees to...
It's quite peculiar, and this is the first time I've done it, so it took a little while to get used to sort of doing all the movements and standing on your own. And
Okay, just calm down a little, kids.
For me, it's fun. It's a release because I can, you know, do kind of really daft things, silly things, put on silly voices, and you know, you're relatively anonymous because you're hiding behind something that is completely not you. You know what I mean? It's a cartoon character, so it's so remote from what I do in film or on stage. You know, it's completely different, and because of that, it's like a release. You know, it's great fun.
It's a film about bullying, which makes it sound rather sombre, but it's actually it's a comedy. But unlike those kind of American films, which all end happily ever after when people start believing in themselves, this is a real film about bullying, where when you get bullied, you suffer the actual consequences.
It's got elements of cartoons you've probably seen before, like South Park or Simpsons, but it's actually there's a kind of a European quality to it, which makes it very original. And I just thought that there's a combination of really interesting animation, like sort of not very naturalistic animation, you know, sort of long bendy arms and you know, huge exaggerated faces, combined with, you know, there's a kind of slightly European tilt to the humour. It's quite dark in places, you know. There's quite sort of you know, there's violence and there's humour and there's situations where there's arguments between parents and, you know, bullying. So there's a lot of, you know, it's dealing kind of head on with a lot of things that are kind of not necessarily very funny, but it deals with them in a very frank way and through the eyes of the character Terkel. And you're taken on a bit of a journey, you know, through his eyes and what it must be like being a school kid. And I think that's where it really scores highly.
We're in his shoes. We're trying to see the film from his eyes, all the people that are around him. And you've got all these incredible characters that, you know, kind of he comes across. And what's amazing about it is that good will always win in the end. And it's a lovely story. It's a heroic story. And Terkel, you know, or however, you know, geeky and beautifully Ade Edmondson plays him, he still is a hero. You don't have to be like Jason or some kind of like upfront bully boy kid to make it, you know, in school. He you know, at the end of the day, he'll probably go on like a Forrest Gump or whatever that type of character is to keep going and going and going.
I did see the film in its original language, but fortunately I bought some mushrooms in a crisp bag off someone and it made complete sense to me. I actually put a bit of tape over the subtitles, and yeah, it was an inspiration.
I thought it was very, very amusing when I watched it and I read the scripts. I thought it was very twisted and kind of slightly sick, and it sort of appealed to my sense of humour.
they sent the video of it because they said it's quite dark. We'll see what you think. And it was great. Dark is good.